Hello friends and welcome to Solo BG Podcast. This is a special episode because we are doing a Kickstarter preview of Patria Libre. And this is a game that happens on the events from 1810 and 1821. And it's a game about the War of Independence of New Spain. And this is by Saúl Sánchez and Malinche Games. So here we have the setup and we're going to start to play. And once again, this is our overview of what you're gonna get with this game. We're gonna try to experience a whole round. I'm gonna be mentioning some rules, and basically with this you will get the idea of how the game plays. Now, it's worth to mention that all these components that you see here, these boards here, which is the popularity board or the popularity track, the main board, the order action, and the cards, all of these is just a prototype version of the game. Of course, the final components after the Kickstarter campaign, well, they might differ, and hopefully, of course, the quality of those will be improved. So let's jump into it and let's see how this game plays. So for the setup, just to give you an idea, we're gonna lay out the mat here, which is, of course, as you can see, the Mexican territory here, and we gonna get our factions. In this case, you either had the option to choose the realists, which is the people from Spain, basically, the Spaniards, or you can be the insurgents, which is the people that they were, in the Mexican territory, and they were trying to get the independence of Mexico. So in this case, we're gonna be playing with Morelos, with Hidalgo, which is the insurgent part, or the insurgent faction, and we're gonna be playing with Venegas as well, which he is gonna be representing the realist faction, or the Spaniards, if you wanna see it that way. Now, as our setup, we're gonna have a deck of cards there, which those are the event decks and supply decks as well. We're gonna have event cards that are gonna be determining victory points at the end of each round or every time that they trigger. And then we will have different events deck and supply cards and things like that we're gonna be shuffling at the beginning of the game. In that way, we have something like this. Once again, one victory point trigger, a deck of events and supplies, and then another event trigger, which this one actually will be face down, but I wanted to show it to you. In that way we can get an idea of the game, and so on and so forth. And that will also determine one way that the game can end, or can possibly end, because there's different ways to end the game that I will tell you more about it as we go. Also, we're gonna get all the little currencies that we're gonna be using during the game. This is worth 1 peso, which is the Mexican currency. And these gold ones are worth 3 pesos, which is, once again, the Mexican currency. Also, our factions will get meeples, which these guys will represent the infantry. We will have the cavalry, and also the armory, or the artillery, I guess, if you want to call it. And the same for the other factions. We're also gonna get our main character. In this case, we have Venegas, once again, as the Spaniard faction. And this is the main character, and he's gonna trigger different things as we are playing. And also, each one of us is gonna start with a random event or a card from the event deck, and that will help us to start the game and do some fun combos and stuff that I will show you. We also gonna get these action tokens, or these order tokens, that we will be playing during the game. These are dual-sided because each side will trigger a different thing. And this is actually a new system that it was developed by Saúl Sánchez, which is called BOSS, which is bivalent order sequel system. And basically what it does is that, once again, both tokens have different order types, and we're gonna be using them during the game. So as you see here, I have as the insurgents, I have Hidalgo, which he also has certain abilities. We have different combos that we can do as we are playing, and I'm gonna show you more about it. And we also have an event card here, like you can see by this symbol, which is the Virgin of Guadalupe, and she also is gonna give us some bonuses as we're going through the game and if we met certain requirements. We also have the victory point track, and we both are gonna start with each token, 1 token each. In that way, we will be determining what's going on during the game. We're also gonna get some events already on the supply area or in the event area, and we have that each one of them have different cost types, right? And you see that these cards are very cool. It's one thing that I like, that they're rounded, because you will be doing some stuff with these cards and these orders here, so that will be very cool. So with that being said, we are ready to start the game. Let's not forget here, let's go to the other side. We have the popularity track, which is divided by university here. We also have kind of like a armory or infantry track, and also the church track. And all these are gonna be moving during the game. And potentially, we will get some victory points as we reach to the top, but also some benefits as we're doing this. But be careful, because there's ways that you can go down and then lose victory points. So with that being said, let's start with the game. Okay, so as we start with the game, let's determine which territories we're gonna occupy at the beginning of the game. In this case, the insurgents will choose to start in Valladolid or Guanajuato area, and Hidalgo, which is our main character, he's gonna start there because he wants to have control of this area. And he also starts with one infantry troop here, and that way he will be, having some support. He also gonna start, you need to pay attention to this flag. He also gonna start in Merida, where he is, related to this territory. As you can see in his card, on his character card, you can see this flag. That means that he can start either here, here, or here. Where these are the areas where he can place an infantry token. In this case, he decides to start in Merida. Then Venegas, he is gonna start in Mexico capital city, and he's gonna start there once again with one infantry companion. And as you can see on his character flag, he can start anywhere where this flag is. So he could start in Zacatecas, or he could start in Spain, and he actually gonna send a troop to Spain. So that's basically a part of finishing the setup, and we are ready to start the game. What's gonna happen in every round? Well, once again, we're gonna reveal on the supply victory point track the next victory point event card that we're gonna get, and we're gonna study that card right now. So basically what this determines is that for every territory that you control, when this card trigger that has a star or a victory point marker, you will get a victory point. Plus, if you control a territory with this little bell symbol, you also gonna get a victory point. So for example, let's go back to the board. In this case, let's say that this was the moment where that card triggers. In this case, Venegas, or the realist, will get 2 victory points because they control an area with 2 victory points, which is Mexico capital city, which is the most powerful region in the whole, basically, board. And then, let's say that Hidalgo was here, and he also had an infantry there, then he would get 1 point because he has a star over there on this region, so he will get 1 victory point. And also he will get 2 more victory points because of the bell symbol here. So you get the idea. So we have to be paying attention. Now, all those cards are as we keep going during the game, and I can show you, they're gonna be different events, different ways of scoring points. So we need to keep putting attention to those. All right. So let's start. What we're gonna do? Always the insurgents starts the game. Every time you're gonna start with the insurgents, because think it this way: they're kind of like the heroes, right? They're trying to get independence from the Spaniards. They're trying to save their territory with their beliefs, with everything, with their culture. So potentially you can see them as freedom heroes, right? So Hidalgo is gonna start, and this is how the game works, and it's very interesting with the boss system implemented by Malinche Games and Saúl Sánchez. We're gonna be going over these tokens and selecting different actions. So you will see how the tricky part works here. You also probably can see at this point that we have some territory run markers that they will determine where our orders are gonna be placed. Okay? The important thing here, and we need to mention it right now, is that every little meeple, depending on what they are, and every character will have a different strength value. So the infantry, it has 1 strength value. Hidalgo has 1 strength value. Same for this territory. That means that they can place order equal to their strength value. In this case, in Merida, we can only place 1 order because this infantry has a strength of 1. Now, we will see during the game that the cavalry has a strength of 2, and the armory or the artillery, they have a strength of 3. So you will see as the game progresses, the different amount of orders that you can play and different stuff that you can do actually in order to go to war and attack certain territories that you can be penalized by doing with a lot of strength towards them, or you can be fine if you go to certain, different types of attacks. So you will see how it works. Anyway, let's start with the first round. So here the insurgents, they are controlling the area of Valladolid. And once again, as this card says, we're gonna get points by every bell symbol or every bell region that we control. So Hidalgo, what he wants to do is give an order of recruit. This symbol here means recruit. And when you recruit, you're gonna place it here. And once again, we have a strength of 2, so that means that we can place 2 orders here. All right, up to 2 orders. So we're gonna place this one here, and this will be our recruit action. When you recruit, you're gonna take an infantry troop, and you can place it anywhere adjacent to where you give your order. Now, it's important to mention that only one type of troop can be in every region. So you can never be like this, right? Because that will be an illegal move. So basically at this point, we want to recruit, and our smartest thing to do is go and recruit here in Guadalajara or Nueva Galicia, because once again, as we place it here, now we are controlling not only the territory that gives a victory point, also the territory that gives us a point because of the action card over there. You got it. So that's our action, and that's it. Our round is done. Now it's time for our enemies to go and take their turn. Now, we have different actions here. I will tell you, let's walk through the actions. They can either recruit, they can either train, which basically means upgrading one troop to their following one. So in this case, an infantry to a cavalry, or a cavalry to an artillery. Now, we have to mention though that in order for this to happen, it needs to be on troops that are already placed on the board, okay? So they decide that they're gonna go and do the same thing. They're also gonna recruit. Why? And this is a perfect time to talk about another rule, okay? So they're gonna recruit here. Let's put the action here, you can see. If, only if, you're able to control a province here, let's say at some point you have infantry troop there, and for some reason you have a cavalry here. If you're able to control a province here, you will get the victory points mentioned on that province, in this case too. This is the most powerful province, and you will get one of these markers, which this is called Dominion basically, and you're gonna place it here, and you're gonna claim immediately those 2 victory points. In the game, as the game progresses, if somebody else control this province, they won't get this Dominion bonus because somebody already took it. This is regardless of the other, we had it here, of the other victory point card there. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that, in that way you keep it in mind as well. This is a game, my friends, that it offers a lot of strategy, a lot of decisions. You need to be basically paying attention to every movement that your opponent does, because the tension is here. We are at independence war, so we want to do the things the best as we can, and thinking every movement basically. And it's a very thematic game, which I really enjoy thematic games, especially if you have followed me on the podcast. You know that I love thematic games, and this is for sure a thematic game. So anyway, they want to recruit, and Venegas is right now like, oh, Hidalgo, you're controlling that province, huh? You're trying to get that region, my friend. Well, think it twice. And I'm gonna bring one guy here. So he brings a guy to San Luis Potosí. Once again, you see what Venegas is doing. He's trying to kind of like surround this area. Probably, if he's smart enough, he will probably try to block this area here, because in that way Hidalgo doesn't get the dominion of this, and they also get a victory point because of the bell. So you can start to see how the game works and how the flow works, right? So now it's back again, insurgent turn. Now what to do. Hidalgo feels the pressure of Venegas, and he decides to train. He decides to tell his troops, guys, we need to get stronger. We need to gather more strength. In that way, if Venegas is trying to do something, close to our territory, we can defend ourselves. So he's gonna choose the next action, which this action means train. So as we talked before, we're gonna place it this way, and this is another cool mechanic that the game has. So you can see these little labels here. They not only will show you what's on the other side of the order, but they also help you here to basically determine how many orders you have placed here. So now another example would be, and this is a good time to talk about it, if The Venegas has an artillery here, which this will be a legal move. Then you know that the insurgents are able to place 2 orders, but Venegas is able to place 3, so he can potentially put orders here, right? So as you can see, it's easier for you to count, like, okay, I have triggered 2 orders, you have triggered 1 order, and so on and so forth. So I just wanted to mention it as well, and that way we keep that in mind. But anyway, we went to train. And now we're gonna reinforce here. So, this infantry troop is gonna become a cavalry, strength of 2. And there we are. Now we're getting more powerful. There's my friend. We're doing it. Good orders. Well done, sir. I guess. Muy bien, señor, in Espanol. There you go, because this is Patria Libre. And, well, that was the action for the insurgents. Now, it's the turn of the realists or the Spaniards. I like to call them the Spaniards, because they're Spaniards ultimately. And I like how it sounds like more let's go into the, to the war, I guess. So, Venegas, he sees that movement, and he really wants to control this territory. And he's going to use another strategy, because here we have that he can also train. And potentially, this infantry becomes a cavalry. But he decides not to. He decides to think differently. He decides to go ahead of the insurgents. And he knows that Mexico capital city, is the most powerful territory in basically the whole map. So he's gonna build a stronghold. And this action allows you to build a stronghold. Now, we're gonna place it here. 2 orders. Here we're done, basically, unless something else happened, right? So, he is gonna grab one of these stronghold tokens that we have here, and these are double-sided. And these are basically means that when you build a stronghold for the first time, you're gonna get this side. Once you build again, it's gonna be this side. And these symbols represent that you're gonna advance on the popularity track. And we're gonna talk more about the popularity track in a little bit. But anyway, he's gonna build a stronghold. He places it here. Now the strongholds are also good to protect you, because when you receive an attack, the first one to go is the stronghold and not your character. So that's another cool mechanic of adding more tension to this area where you can see that everything is happening. All right. But remember, now it's time to the insurgents, and Hidalgo played a different strategy. So as you see and as you remember, this was an infantry. Now it's a cavalry, and our strength has go up, right? Here's the finger, up. So now we have a strength of 1 plus 2, 3. So now we can place 3 orders here. And Hidalgo knows that he needs to get also stronger. He knows, he heard because of his spies, let's place it that way, that Venegas is building a stronghold there. So now he needs to think, do I place a stronghold here, or do I place it in Nueva Galicia, or do I start to reinforce the east coast in Yucatan? Interesting choices. So he decides he is gonna loot some money. He needs to loot some money. In that way, he can start to get more resources. We actually, another part of the setup is that every player starts with 1 peso. Okay, so there you go. So now he decides to loot. So as you can see here, 3 action, and it's very cool to keep track. Now the looting part here is very interesting, and I'm gonna talk about a rule here. If we loot, you will see here on the symbols, we go down on the popularity track. All right. Now, what is the benefit of looting here and not looting here? You will see this little peso here, this little silver symbol. This means that we will get an additional one. So we are looting from this area and getting more looting because of Guanajuato in this case. All right. So we will get 3 pesos, and there you are. We're getting more resources. In that way, you will see as the game progresses that we will be able to buy some cards from over there. That was the action for Hidalgo. Now, he won't be able to place any more orders here because we're full of orders now. Now is the time for the Spaniards, let's say, the realist guys. So, Venegas knows, he heard about the conspiracy of the insurgents and that they were getting more resources and they were looting from the people. He decides to reinforce the north area and he decides to train this troop. And now he has a cavalry there. Smart move from Venegas. So as you can see, we have the tension here. And these guys, they haven't come to play, but they will. Don't worry, they will. Now, let's not forget, Hidalgo has to lose a popularity for when he loot over there. So we're gonna decide here on the popular track where do we want to go down. So if we go down in this one, we're gonna lose one stronghold, which we don't have one, so we can do that one. If we go here, we're gonna lose one training, so our cavalry will become an infantry, or we lose money. So I guess it's smart to go here. So we're gonna grab the yellow one, and we're gonna place it here. Now, this pendule token, or this marker, will come to play later in the game, and I will explain you how it works. So we go here, we don't have a stronghold to destroy, we're good. So now we're back to the board, and now it's turn for the insurgents to play their last action. And Hidalgo decides that he's gonna start to reinforce Nueva Galicia, and he's gonna build a stronghold there. So there he is. Now we're getting more powerful there as well. Then it's turn for the Spaniards or Realist faction. They can still give one order here, or they still can give one order in Spain. Actually, we have a coin here, right? We don't have a coin here, and we cannot go here. So they decide to claim taxes here because they don't loot, they claim taxes. And we're gonna get 3 coins. So in that way, both factions can be in a similar situation. And once again, we need to go down on the popular track. Now, unfortunately, for our friend Venegas, everything is painful because he will suffer consequences of everything pretty much. He thinks that it's not worth it to for his cavalry to become an infantry. It's definitely not worth it to destroy this stronghold. So he probably is gonna lose 1 coin. That's it. No big deal. They're rich people, so they're gonna lose 1 coin. And then we go back to the insurgents. We don't have anything more to play. So now we go into our jump phase, which basically is recover. We're gonna jump to the next phase, which is basically is recovering all the orders. The nice mechanic of here, it's what's gonna happen next. We're gonna take every order and we're gonna flip it. And now it's a different order. And we cannot get this one anymore. So now is it, well, we can do it, but in a different order type, which is this one actually that I was playing in a little bit. But now we go into the other side. So this training will become fighting. This recruit will become marching or moving. And this stronghold will become buying a card. And once we recover all our orders, then we have to discard the leftmost event card from the event area. So this one goes away. Then we follow the path with these ones. And guess what? Now, my friends, now we're getting close to the end of the first round where we're gonna basically score some points here. So there you go. That's that. Now, it's a turn from the Spaniards or Realist faction. They're gonna do the exact same thing. They're gonna get their orders back. They have to flip it. So now we have different orders here. And by the way, as I'm recruiting these orders, at the setup of the game, you decide which side you want to start. So for this playthrough, I decided to start this exact same way. In that way, we can create some tension of imitating the movements and see where these take us. I thought it was going to be fun, but actually, you can start in any side that you want at the beginning of the game. So you can start with this, for example, with these orders, and then they could be choosing, different orders too. So that adds, a different amount of replayability every time and different strategies, and it gives you a different feel as you play the game. So let's start with round number 2. Oh, I almost forgot. So as they pick up their actions or the orders, this one goes away. And we're going to talk about the cards in a little bit also. And we're getting closer now. as we are here and we don't have anything here, we reveal from the deck number 1, and we have Primo de Verdad. And I will explain how this card, because these are basically character cards, and we have event cards as well, that they will be, triggering in different aspects of the game. And as we reach as well to the event points event card, there's also things that we need to do with our empire that we're building. So you will see how it works. Anyway, let's start with round number 2. So insurgents always go first. So what are we gonna do here? Let's see. I'm gonna show you how the battle works in a little bit. So my friend here, Hidalgo, he doesn't want to give Mexico City to Venegas. So he's going to start to move some troops here. So he's going to move his cavalry to Mexico capital. So now he has a strength of 2 here. He has still controlling this area because of Hidalgo. And now my friend Venegas is in trouble. He is in trouble, my friend. So now Venegas, he knows that he needs to do something because this is happening. So this is a good time to show you how the different cards work. So Venegas, he is gonna play one of his cards. That, remember, the game you start with different cards. So he's gonna play Conde Revillagigedo. And with this card, basically, you're gonna sacrifice an order, which he's gonna sacrifice the buying one. So you're gonna place it here. And he's gonna place this one on top. Alright? So it goes there. And this basically gives you 2 options. Either to train or to get to money or to pesos. And when you get to pesos this way, you don't lose any penalties on the popularity track. Alright? So he decides to do this, in that way he can reinforce. And he's gonna get his cavalry. Okay, smart move, Venegas, a smart move. Now let's keep going with the game. Now it's time for Hidalgo to choose something. And you know what? Hidalgo's gonna go for it. He's gonna do an interesting move here. He has a strength of 2, right? And to show you more in detail how it works, he is gonna use this action. What this action means is that you can do any action of the 8 availables, because remember it's dual-sided. You pay 1 coin and you can use any action that you want. So he's gonna place it here, and he's gonna train this cavalry. He's gonna pay first 1 peso. He's gonna train that cavalry. Oops, not this one, this one. And we have our artillery here. Look at this. It's prototype, huh? But it's cool, looks cool. Artillery here. So man, we're ready to start some fight over here. We have a strength of 3. Once again, we each give 1 order still. All right. So now let's go to the insurgent. Realist or Spaniard side. So Spaniards, they know that this area is tense, right? So they know that if they go to fight, they're gonna lose the fight because strength-wise they're lower than the artillery. So they know it. I mean, it's gonna be like wasting a turn. I will explain you how it works. So they decide to start to bring some reinforce. They decide to start to move their troops, and they're gonna place their order here in Spain. So what this does, well, right now it doesn't matter. So, well, we have this victory point here, so probably you don't want to move from there. So let's take it back. You know what? I know what they're gonna do. This is what they're gonna do. Check this out. They're gonna do a combo here, type of a combo. They're gonna place this order of movement here, but he cannot go here because that won't be a legal move, right? Remember, this stronghold is in Mexico City. So they're gonna play their card, their character card, Venegas. And when they sacrifice this order to play Venegas, they get both results. They get to attack, which in this case, they won't attack anybody because there's nothing to attack here. but they're gonna go up on the popularity track. And here, they go up here on training. And as they train, they're gonna use it on the cavalry. And the cavalry will now become an armory. And oh man, we are ready to battle. This is gonna get interesting. Very, very interesting. All right? So we're, it's getting tense, Okay. So, let's see. Okay, so Hidalgo is gonna place an interesting action in as well. Once again, this one is to buy a card. And I want to talk about buying a card. Let's say, if I play this one to buy a card, basically I had to pay the cost on each one of them. And usually the Spaniards or the realist factions, they can use either, when you're having a two-player game, they can use either green cards or blue cards. And insurgents or independence guy, I guess, they can use the yellow ones and red ones. Well, this is a victory point one, but you can use yellows and red. And this purple one, it works for either way. So let's say, just an example, if the insurgents decide to buy a card with this one, they can buy this one to prevent it for the other faction to take it. And they can use this side, which basically means that they can use it as a coin at any time. In that way, if they have to pay coin or if they have to pay the cost of having their empire here, well, they can use it as well. And I just wanted to mention that in that way. You keep that in mind. But we're gonna do something else, my friends. We are playing our character and we are playing Hidalgo. And I want to talk about the cards a little bit, okay? So basically, this is the symbol here on top that it tells what kind of card it is. In this case, it could be an event, like I mentioned, which it will have this symbol. Or we can use a character like this symbol. We also have the flag where it tells you where it's going to start and where it potentially will gain popularity. We have two bonus actions, in this case recruit and fight. And we also get these colors with these numbers here. And this is important because let's just assume, as I have Hidalgo here, that I decide to buy Primo de Verdad. All right? If I buy Primo de Verdad, I will have to spend my 3 pesos and I will buy him. And as I get him, I made a combo here, right? So this is 4, this is 4. So as you can see, we start to match. If I match and I keep these cards on my play area, automatically I go up in our popularity track. And if I get another one that will have also a 4 and I place it here, it will also match, and that will keep adding me popularity track points, and I can keep going up on those tracks as well. All right? And basically how this track works, once again, is going to be giving you benefits. And if you reach the top, you get 1 victory point, then you come back to neutral zone. If you go lower, you lose 1 victory point, then neutral zone. Now, I want to talk about these markers a little bit as we are playing, and just to give you an example. Let's say that for some reason, the realist guys, they advance this one up, right? They advance on the popularity track, the pendulum here. Like it was, actually this should be here. So they advance here, all right? Then let's say that for some reason, they lose popularity on this track. Then they will only bring this marker here, and this pendulum here will stay here, right? And that basically what it does is balance the game, that it won't allow you to go back and forth, because next time if you advance on this track, well, you will take this token here, you will place it there, but you won't get the reward anymore, right? So that's another way of balancing it out, that it will protect other players for going back and forth if they do it on purpose, right? So there you go. That's another rule that I wanted to show you, my friends. And oh my god, I'm throwing everything here. And in that way we know how to use this popularity track. There you go. So we talk about buying cards. We didn't buy Primo, but that's another way that we can do popularity points if we want to, and if we want to use that as a strategy. So as you can see, my friends, there's a lot of ways that you can score points and go up and go lower, just like the realists did, training, increasing the popularity track by training. Then we got a artillery here as well. But in this case, going back, we're not gonna buy a card. Matter of fact, we gonna use Hidalgo, and I will show you the Dominion here. We get the 2 bonuses. First one is to fight. We don't have anything to fight here. Second, whoa. You know what? I'm doing a mistake. Because you can only play these cards, and we're learning the game, which is cool. You can only play these cards if Hidalgo is there. So we cannot play that card. Forget about my strategy. Oh man, I wanted to show you a cool combo there. What we're gonna do, Let's see. Okay, let's use our event card here. So we're gonna sacrifice this order for this event, and I'm gonna place it here. This works perfectly. So this symbol means that we have to be equal or below on the church track than our opponent. And if we do, we can do that event, which is recruit and move, which works perfectly. All right. So what we're gonna do, we can do either or. It's not, you're not forced to do both. All right. So since we are on the church track at the same level, and this is an event card, we're gonna do this action and then we're gonna discard this card. So we're gonna recruit here. Boom. There we are. Now we have control of the province, and we're gonna discard this card. And as we do that, guess what? We have control of this region. We're gonna have our mark it here that we did it, and we're gonna get 1 victory point here. So we score our first victory point on the game. That's cool. Alrighty. So that was our last order. Then, now Venegas, he's tired of everything, and he's gonna start a fight. He's gonna start a fight, right? Why not? And when he fights, because they're at the same level, he basically turns this artillery into a cavalry. Another cool mechanic that I want to talk about is that, let's say on a following turn, Venegas decides to attack, and this is the condition, this is the situation that we're facing, then we will lose points equal to the difference of strength on our popularity track. This is like a bullying catch-up mechanic, kind of. So, if, for example, right now was the attack, artillery versus cavalry, we will win the battle again. This will become an infantry, which is not the case, it's just an example once again. But we will go 1 in the popularity track. So that's another way that the game controls, the war, kind of. But anyway, we successfully fight Hidalgo. Oh, this is the yellow one. We successfully fight Hidalgo, and now he only has a cavalry there. So we're good. We're still having control. I mean, Venegas is still having some control over there. He's more powerful. He's doing good. All right. Now, Hidalgo knows that he has this territory. I guess he's gonna start to fight to try to basically, do something. Try to keep the things, basically even. We have a strength of 2, so we can play this card here. And this will mean attack. Same thing happens. Now we go after him, but the stronghold protects you. So, Venegas is still very powerful over there. Very, very, very powerful. Alright. And that was the last turn of the insurgents. Now, Venegas saved the best for the last. He can use any action, any single action that he wants. And he's gonna play that action here. So you can see we have a strength of 4, strength of 3. Let's accommodate this in that way. You can see how cool it looks. Doing different orders here. And he's gonna pay 1 coin. And now it's gonna recruit. Venegas, the Spaniards, want to control this area, which is the most powerful area, and they decide to recruit. There you go. Now they have an infantry troop over there. And what's happened is that now they have dominion of this territory. Even if Hidalgo tried so hard to avoid that, they have dominion because they have more strength than him. So he will get 2 victory points here. There you go. So once again, these rules, it's very close to what is going to be the final game, but there are some tweaks that it can happen. But the main idea of the game is this. So there you go. Now the realistic the realist people, or the Spaniards, and are defeating the insurgents 2-1. And a lot of things are gonna happen now, my friends, because I'm gonna show you how the event points is gonna track. So I also want to talk, before we jump on that, on as you progressing during the game, and as we keep playing grounds, the map is gonna start to expand, because once again, the fact that you can only have one meeple, right, or one type of basically troop on each area, that really determines and push the game to expand. So eventually, from Zacatecas, we're gonna keep playing actions, and we're gonna start to expand over there. And then from Spain, for example, if we were to play a move order here, like I was playing them before, when you're in any of these coast areas, you can move to sea, right, to these boats. And then from here, you can move to any location. So potentially from the Gulf of Mexico, you can go to Merida, you can go to Veracruz, you can go to San Luis Potosí, you can go to Tampico, Nuevo Santander, you can go to Texas, United States, over there by New Orleans, you can go back to Spain. So that's a very nice mechanic as well, that you can be, traveling by ship and trying to surround your enemies. Like in this case, most of this round, once again, it's just the beginning of the game. Most of this round, the whole tension was on this area. So, turn for the insurgents. They don't have any more orders to give, so they start to pick up orders. And once again, we start to flip those orders. Sorry, my dear Spaniards, here. And that's it. Those are our orders back, but now on the other side. And we discard this card. And more cards are revealing. Now, as we reveal this one, we have to reveal this one as well, so we know for the next turn what's gonna happen. In this case, 1 point for every territory that you control that marks determined amount of points. And now is this torch symbol, or this torch shield, they're also gonna give you victory points. So now, like I mentioned before, we will try to expand to Sonora, for example, to Texas, to different areas that we can go where we can find the torch. So as you can see, the game will be pushing you to have different areas to conquer and try to achieve different goals. We get another card here to replace this one. And there it is. Good. So now it's time for the Spaniards, or the I love to call them Spaniards. It's just so fun. Okay, very thematic. So Venegas is coming now. Your character card comes to you, right? Once again, the event cards, they get discarded. We're gonna place them here, right? So we get it back. We flip the orders. So you will see that at some point, in this case, we sacrifice the buying card orders, but at some point you want to buy cards, because especially those character cards, you get to keep them during the game. And these leader cards, well, those are the ones that you're going to start the game with. And there's multiples, and they are all, attached to the theme of the history of this time. So it's very cool, especially if you're interested on those kinds of events that happened between 1810 and 1821. You will find it fascinating how the game really attached the theme of the real event that happened and all that stuff. So now we're gonna keep going to the next round. So this one gets discarded, and we are so close to trigger these ones, my friends. So we might have another round, we might not, because if somebody decides to pay 2 coins, that's it, it triggers it, which it will be convenient for Hidalgo team to do it. But guess what? We don't have that order. We don't. And if we want to do it by the popular track, we will need to get all the way over there. And they don't have it too. So we either, nope, that's it. We need to keep going. All right, so let's do it. Okay, so Hidalgo first, he is gonna, he doesn't want for Venegas to control this area. So he's going to try to fight it. So he's going to sacrifice his stronghold action. Well, actually, he's going to sacrifice his looting action to place him. No, but we cannot do it because he's not in Hidalgo. Hidalgo area. I wanted to play it here, and that way he can fight him. I don't think he will be able. So instead, what he's gonna do is recruit. Hidalgo is gonna recruit. That's what he's gonna do. So he's gonna play one action here in Zacatecas, and he's gonna recruit over there by Sonora. And in that way, we're expanding here. We're getting this territory, as you can see. So that's cool. Now it's turn for the realist people. So Venegas, he decides to. Oh, Venegas, don't you dare! No, I don't think he will do that. Actually, I think Venegas. I was planning on moving there, but I don't want to leave this territory. That will be a little bit interesting to do, let's say, but we won't do that. Nope. Instead, he's gonna reinforce his troops. So Venegas is gonna start to. He wants to recruit, but he actually can't. So he's gonna start to train here to get more control. So he's gonna start to train here, and this will become a cavalry. So in that way, there's no way that somebody will take him out of there. So he's getting very powerful over there. So now it's time for Hidalgo. And Hidalgo, now he's gonna sacrifice his action, and he is gonna recruit. He recruits over here in San Luis. So he really is trying to basically tide for the region and hopefully trigger something else. All right, hopefully blocking this guy to take these points. He doesn't want to recruit yet and train because he's just waiting to see what our friends here are going to do. Now, our friend Venegas, he is actually going to build another stronghold as he sees that the insurgents, they're coming. So he's gonna build another stronghold there. That's what he's gonna do. And actually Venegas has a very interesting strategy that I will show you in a little bit. Alrighty, we have 3 pesos now, but I want to talk to you, and you will see why it's important to get money for when that card triggers. You will see why. So with that being said, let's see. So yeah, I think it's worth doing it actually. Well, here's the thing. Hidalgo is gonna train. So he's gonna train this to a cavalry. I will show you why. Because something is gonna happen. So he's gonna train that cavalry. Then he's turned to the realist people or the Spaniards, and they are gonna sacrifice their movement action to place Venegas, and Venegas will go here. He will gain 1 point on the popularity track. So he decides to go and increase on the church, and he will go to this area where he can actually get a stronghold point. And guess what? We already have a stronghold. So what he does, flips it. Now he has a 2 strength stronghold here, and he also gets 2 popularity. So Venegas is getting very smart. So he's gonna go 2 points on the popularity track, and he's gonna go here on the armory 1 point. So he will be able to basically recruit more people, and he will bring people to Veracruz. There you go. Now we have 1 territory in Veracruz. He knows that he's getting close to Yucatan, where over there Hidalgo has a troop as well. So as you can see, the map is spreading, and it's a very interesting way. and we're advancing on the popularity track as well. He still have one popularity point to expand, and basically he's gonna start to fight. So he's gonna go one more. This one comes with us, by the way. He's gonna go one more on top on the armory track, and he's gonna start a fight. He's gonna fight this one, trying to have the territory here. Well, actually, no. He's gonna destroy this guy. In that way, he has control of this. So, let's do this guy just to weaken more. So we're gonna hit one here. And as we remember, that bullying kind of catch-up mechanic, since with the strength difference is 1, we will have to decrease in the popularity track by 1. And we're gonna go 1 here on the armory here. We go back to recruit. Once again, if we go up here, we don't trigger this action anymore, but we're getting close to get 1 victory point there as well with Venegas. So that was his whole turn, making a combo. You saw how did it work going up on the popularity track, how it triggers very interesting things here. That's cool. That's a mechanic that I love in the game, that really can change one movement, one action, one character card's usage can change the whole strategy for the opponent. So now the tension is even getting, growing a little bit more. So I guess as our last action, also here in Guanajuato, Hidalgo is gonna loot more. He's gonna get 3 coins, 3 pesos. We got them here. Now we have 6 pesos. We have more to buy on future rounds, so that will be cool, because we're also gonna get the order to buy cards, and at the same time you can buy as many cards as you can afford, so that's always cool. And you can push the events to go faster if you have to, like in this case. Unfortunately, we didn't have that order, but we lose 1 on the popular track, and we don't want to lose the stronghold because we're building a stronghold here, so that's okay. We're gonna lose 1 point, 1 coin, I'm sorry, no big deal. We have 6, so 1 peso goes back to the supply. We finish our round with the insurgents. Now is the last turn for the Spaniards, or realist faction. They basically gonna do the same, but they want to make sure that they do it somewhere where it gives them more loot. So they're gonna do the same in Spain. They're gonna get 3 pesos, and they will have to go down on a popular track. They don't want to lose gold just in case. I feel like on the armory we're okay, so we can go down on the church. There you go. So we're good. Actually, it's very thematic because the Spaniards, before the independence, they were, I guess, the popular faction in Mexico. And then as the insurgents start to, the insurgent movement start to grow, then the insurgent start to gain popularity. So we hope that as we go into the game, further in the game, that will happen. But once again, I want to show you how the scoring happens in a little bit. So that was the last turn for the insurgents. Spaniards or realist faction. So now it's time for the insurgents, and this is where all the fun is gonna happen. All right. Besides all the tension that we already create. So we start to pick up orders. We start to flip them. Pick up orders here. Once again, we get our characters. And all this happens, and let's score some points. All right, first let's score some points. So we're gonna start by paying the cost of having all the troops. You have to pay 1 coin or 1 peso for every troop that is not with your main faction leader. All right, they basically supply them. So other than that, we have to pay. And this event, it's called Calderon Bridge Battle, which it was a battle that happened. Hidalgo en Calleja, which in this case is Hidalgo and Venegas for thematic purposes, face each other near New Galicia or Nueva Galicia. And guess what? We're there. And we're close to fighting there. So it's thematic. You see, I told you. Now, following the symbols, we have to pay. All right, so let's start with the insurgents here. So we have to pay 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And for everyone that we don't pay, once again, we go down. Let's zoom it here. We go down on the popular track. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're gonna sacrifice this guy on Merida. He needs to go because he cannot basically maintain himself over there. And we're gonna go down on the popular track, and we're gonna go down here. Okay, which that will cause these cavalry to become an infantry because you're going down on the training. That was painful, but we don't want to destroy the stronghold, and we don't have more coins to pay. So we have to do what we can. All right, so now it's time for the realist faction to do the same. They have 2, 4, 5 coins. This one, well, actually, yeah, no, you're right. This one doesn't cost anything because he's with Venegas. So Venegas was smart enough to keep his artillery by him. Hidalgo started to spread, but he didn't have enough resources to keep them there. So we're here. Venegas was smarter. He controlled a more powerful territory. And not only that, he was able to hold his artillery there and just himself supplying them and motivating them basically. In that way, they don't have to worry about anything else. But we have to pay 1, 2, 3, 4 only. All right, so we're good. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 1 left over here to buy cards on the future rounds, and we don't get affected on the popular track. So, man, this game is so intense on that aspect. And we keep going with the card. Now we have to score points for every region that we are that has a point marker. So Venegas, it's in the most powerful area, so he gets 2 points, and he also gets 1 point for this one. So he's at 5 points now, and he also gets a point for this one. 6 points. Oh man, that was a nice round for the Spaniards there. Now we're going to my friends from the insurgents side. I have 1 here, 1 there, 2 points. Now let's go with our bell here. 1 and 2. 1, 2. And are we missing anything? 3. Hey, Hidalgo was covering 1. So we actually get 3 points. It wasn't too bad. So we go 1, 2. We actually tie them. And now we get the points for the majority where we are, okay? So in this case, we control this province and we get 1 point. Now this is different versus Dominion. Dominion happens during the game. The other way to get these points, besides controlling the region, is when you control that province, where you're stronger on that province. So basically, we get another point for that. But Venegas also control all this. He gets 2 more points. So right now the score, it's 8-7. We're getting close. It's a lot of tension here. So as you can see, as we trigger the first points event card, we discarded. We have the new one now. We know what's going on the future, but we almost scored 10 points each. And one way to trigger the end game is to get 30 victory points. The other way that the game will basically trigger his end, or her end, I guess, because we don't know if it's male or female in the game. It's if all those cards get passed until we get to the last one, which is this one. Once again, more ways to score points. When they go out, that's another way that the game will end, and whoever has more points wins. So whoever gets 30 first triggers the end, finish the round, and whoever gets more points win. Another way that the game can end is if somebody, let's say the realists right now, they were here at 17, they are 10 points apart, they will win the game automatically, which is crazy. So that's why you want to also keep the tension on the game. You don't want for your opponent to go like crazy, ahead of you, because if they do that, well, you're gonna lose the game. And those are the main 3 ways that you can trigger the end of the game. There's some rules about tiebreaker that they score they go by the popularity track, or they go by the amount of gold that you have or pesos that you have on your board, and so on and so forth. So at this point, the next turn would be for the realist faction. They will start to flip their orders. They will start to bring their orders back, flip it. Their characters. Orders are flipped. Once again, this one was moved here. They will get another event. And as you can see, we are getting close to bring this one in. All the events are thematic situations that happen on the time. And that's basically a whole idea of how Patria Libertad plays. There's more rules, a lot of more rules that you will be able to discover as you are revealing more cards from the deck, as you are buying cards and making some combos like I mentioned you before, as you are buying more characters that allow you to basically sacrifice actions or orders that you don't want to implement them right now. For example, in this case, let's just assume that you had this card as a realist faction and you didn't have the battle here and you didn't have this one either. Well, you could sacrifice an order to play this character to go to battle. At the same time, you will do combos, right? Combos that will allow you to go up in the popularity track. So you get the idea. It's a lot of stuff going on here. And as you are playing the game, you will discover new things and a unique story every time that you play. This is a game that it's made to be 1 to 4 players. There's a solo mode in the progress at this point, at the time of this recording this video, where I got these spoilers where it's gonna be a very interesting mechanic of bringing a solo mode to the game. You can play this game as a free-for-all, where another faction jumps in. You can play in teams 2 versus 2, or you can play as this tutorial 1 versus 1 and create the tension of the war, of the independence war that happened on North America between 1810 and 1821 in Mexico, in order for them to be independent from the realist faction or the Spaniards. So this is a whole overall of how it plays. I hope you enjoy this playthrough. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Once again, Solo BG Podcast, and you can listen to my podcast, to my weekly podcast, Solo BG Podcast, found on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, wherever podcasts can be found. And you can listen to a weekly episodes that I do. There's actually an episode based on this game, and that's it. Until next time, see you through the camera and the speaker and at the tabletop with Patria Libre.